Hello, Nova Babes. Bear with me, Luna is sleeping, so I'm going to keep this tone if I can. Which y'all know I have a hard time doing that. But how are we? Are we excited for this new week? It's the beginning of the month. It's May. It's gonna be May. Sorry, I can't help myself. I'm a millennial. But I'm really trying to like channel from spirit, and what's the best way I can explain this? Like, I'm shuffling, and I'm trying to like channel the message from spirit of like, okay, what is my guiding light here? What do I need to tell them? What is the message that needs to come out? Because I always do that. Like, I cleanse and I shuffle before I even get on camera, and then I do a few shuffles while I'm on camera to really like tap into the energy. And it just feels, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it just feels like spirit is like, okay, but what are you feeling? And utilize that and then pull the cards. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'll push record and start talking like I normally do, and kind of see where that goes. I'm not like feeling it the way that I've been used to. Right now it feels like to open up and be genuine, but in ways of like what I like to call like a ADHD brain dump scramble. So I'm gonna do that and shuffle these cards. But it just feels like there's so many different dynamics of my life that are needing tweaking, that need assistance, if you will. And it's like I have 15 cups and I got one pitcher of water, and I am like giving little doses in each one of these cups. And like, I know I don't have enough water. You know what I mean? Like, I know I don't have enough to like give 100% in all of these aspects. And then I'm like, okay, but what's more important? Like, what's more important? And what are things that are coming through that I feel, could be my top 3, top 5? And then focus on the rest. And Luna and my family, like, meaning like my family, me, Donald, Luna, that's always going to be number one priority for me, in the sense of like, I'm doing this all for them. They are my rock. They are my foundation. Like, when there's roughness within those waters, like more specifically, like with me and Donald, it's like that does tend to take more priority. But then like, there's myself, then there's Stella Nova, there's my friendships, there's my other family, like my aunt and uncle, or my nieces, my nephews. And something this like past week, my niece, so like Donald's niece, but she's my niece, and we have kids, right? Luna and her daughter are only 3 months apart. We were pregnant at the same time, so on and so forth, but I'm 7 years older than her. So she just turned 25, and her daughter's about to turn 2. And I have been the one woman in her life, because her grandma, Donald's mom, died when she was like 13, and then her mom died when she was 15, Donald's sister. And like, I've been a part of her life since she was like 10 or 11, and she is my family. She is my family, and I love her, and I love her daughter as well. But like, a lot. She's got a lot going on. And her and Donald had a conversation this week where I was like, he like mentioned to me that she was upset with me because I don't answer her phone and like text messages like I used to, which is not false. Okay, it's not false. That is very much true, because like, I just don't have the kind of time that I used to, when she'd call me like 6-7 times a day, and we sit on FaceTime all day and stuff like that. That's just not how I rock. Like, I'm not 20. Like, I'm in my 30s, and I don't do the same things. I don't party every weekend and all that kind of stuff. And it's not that I don't I will always respect her in the sense of like what she has going on. But this is something where it's like really hitting me where I'm like, okay, this is why it matters about how many pictures, right? Going back to that cup analogy, how many pictures of cups that I actually have. Because at this point, if I got the 15 cups but I only got one pitcher and I'm not, and you know, I'm just pouring little bits into each one, then I'm not going to have the connections or the relationships or whatever that I want. And like the only way to like level up and like get more pitchers is to take care of yourself. And like I know this, right? But like I don't know this here yet. I know this logically, but I don't feel it here because there's still many wounds that I'm going through that I'm trying to navigate of like, you know, I have mommy and daddy issues and like I have visibility issues. 555 as I am saying this, like I know I have my own stuff. And how can I do what I need to do for me, let alone other people, if I'm not even doing, you know, what I need to do for me? And it's putting me in this spiral, if you will, because I'm like, okay, how do I do this? Like, where is that fine line? Because how do I have those connections? How can I have these conversations? And I'm really getting to this point now where I'm like, I love her, she loves me, and we've been there for each other throughout everything over these, you know, last 15 years. And if I can't have a conversation with somebody that I love, that I feel loves me, and be real and be vulnerable and be honest, then those kind of people shouldn't be in my life. And I'm not saying that about her. I'm saying that more about me, of like, why don't I feel comfortable? Anytime I've ever talked to her about my thoughts or my feelings or anything that's going on, she's never judged me or guilt tripped me or made me feel bad, you know? So like, why can't I do that? Like, why can't I just be open and honest? And I'm realizing, you know, as I'm like saying this to you, like, I'm realizing I have a problem with vulnerability when it comes to family because of my parents. You know, my own parents judged me. My own parents made me feel horrible for being myself. So how could anybody else in this world, especially my family, actually see me and appreciate me and so on and so forth, and, you know, still love me even after the hard conversations? And that's why I'm like, you know what? That's probably why I couldn't feel anything in the beginning, because that has been like sitting on my brain for a hot second now, because it's like literally transpired like right before I was like ready to like record and do stuff today. Luna's down, my aunt and uncle are out, my cousin's sleeping, like this is the perfect time for me to record. And that was just something that's like, it's sitting right here. But I also feel like you guys have something like that sitting on you as well. It's like sitting in your heart space. It's sitting in your heart chakra, of like, you feel something so deeply, but you're having a really hard time expressing it, or you're having a really hard time being vulnerable, or, you know, opening up your heart space. And I totally get that. I very much get that. And if none of this resonates, let's just hop in the cards. You know what I mean? But I feel like all of us have something there, you know? I think the biggest thing is I just don't want to fuck shit up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not her mom, but I am the most mom-like figure in her life. And it's really hard because, yes, I am a mother now, but it's different. You know, my daughter's not a teenager or 20 something that's married with babies and so on and so forth. You know, like, I'm dealing with such a different dynamic, and I don't want to mess it up. You know, I don't want to say something that I shouldn't, or hurt her feelings, or, you know, be another person in her life that she feels disappointed by. And I think all of that pressure is something that has been such an issue for me, because I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm really starting to like come full circle with my own power and like how that transmute throughout me and my mind and my body and my spirit and things like that. And really the anxiety of it all is what puts me in a tizzy, because when I'm really sitting here and I'm like grounding myself, I'm like, of course I can have this conversation with her. Of course I can tell her what's going on in my life. I wish my parents were saying more to me as I was growing up, especially in my 20s and stuff like that, of just being real, of like, I'm an adult too. Like, I'm not a kid anymore, and I don't need to know every single thing, but if you can't show up for me or so on and so forth, and now I know that it's not because of me, then that's gonna, settle my woes, my worries, and my anxiety. So I really appreciate that. I'm like appreciating this moment. But 2 cards fell out, so let's get into it. King of Wands. Now this came out sideways, so I think it's a little bit of both, right? The King of Wands, when it's in the upright, is power, right? It's power. It's taking control. It's making decisions. Optimism. The plane right here is very significant, right? Like you're zooming by. But like when it's in the reverse, this is about being forceful and powerless, right? Weak. Confirmation of everything I said. But this very much feels like you're somewhere in the middle, right? Where like you're teetering on your power, but also still in this navigation phase of like, what is even my power in the first place? And funny enough, the next one that came out was the Emperor. And this is like solidifying the stability, the structure, the discipline, the authority, right? It's sitting there knowing I got this shit. I'm stable. Both feet are planted. My eyes are on the prize and I'm ready to go. And it's like, where do you find that balance within yourself of like doing too much and going too hard, but then like not doing enough and not taking care of ourselves and not resting? Because to actually be either one of these, because you see, they're not rigid. Both of their legs are open. Both of them are staring in a direction. This one's staring forward and this one is staring off into the distance. Where is your balance? Where is the balance between too much and not enough? Overzealous and underwhelming, right? Where is that balance? Because that's really where stuff is going to start changing. And funny enough, I've been like working on my like routines and stuff of like, okay, I'm calling it Unbothered as like a calendar on my Google Calendar or like my Apple Calendar or whatever. And I just call it like my unbothered time. And like, because of the life that I live and because I'm a mom, like me waking up at like 6:45 in the morning so that no one's awake and no one's bothering me and I'm not like stressed out or whatever, that's going to work for me to start my day. And that looks like different things, getting my tea, getting my water, maybe journaling, maybe doing cards, maybe doing a walk, something, right? Like something has to get done in the morning from like 6:45 to 8. Stretching, just getting myself ready, pouring into myself. And then when Luna's down for a nap, I'm like, okay, I'll shower, then I'll work, then I'll, plan and do all these other things. And then right around 5, I get dinner started. I do dinner. I do the nightly thing with Luna. Cool. And then now after 9 p.m., it's all me. Like, it's all for me, especially if Donald's not working, or I'm sorry, if he is working. Like, when she's down at 9, it's all me until I go to sleep. And like, I'm trying to find consistency and balance within that. And that feels like exactly where you're at, but in a different way. Because we also have the Ten of Swords, right? And this is in reverse. So the Ten of Swords in reverse is about survival. It's about healing. It's about improvements, lessons learned. You've learned these lessons. You see the improvements. You know that like doing these things for yourself is gonna help you. But it's like, again, with that balance, how do I balance that where I can pour into myself but also pour into others, but doing so in a way where I don't feel guilty, where I'm not like needing to people please, and so on and so forth. it's interesting. This is very interesting. Sorry, I'm like getting a lot, so I'm just like trying to ground it for a second. What do they need to know? Splitting the deck open, the moon, and the first thing that stuck out here was intuition. You're confused because you're not certain with yourself. The intuition is not solid. And I know we talk about intuition a lot, but this feels more like knowing yourself, understanding yourself. Okay. What else do they need to know today, Spirit? Okay. Judgment, self-doubt, lack of self-awareness, self-loathing, right? A lot of this is very internal. Like, I keep hearing, like, you want your external to look better before you work on the internal, and they're very much like, no. Internal first, external will then show differently when you deal with the internal first. And maybe you're like, Brie, okay, like we talk about this all the time, like I am working on myself, but are you really? Are you really dedicating yourself? Oh my God, that like flew up. Okay. This is literally just what I was about to talk about. So the Hangman, right? This is about sacrifice. This is about perspective shifts. How can you look at something differently? Why are you, looking like this when you could be looking like this, right? Like having the perspective shift. The perspective shift here, and I'll be very, the best way that I can explain it was when in 2021, actually May of 2021 was when I started my journey for, spirituality, self-healing. 1717 on the clock, if that resonates for anybody. But what I realized was like the real change was me. And like, it was the consistency of taking care of myself that changed my whole life and my whole dynamic. I was smoking at least a pack every other day of cigarettes. I was drinking, no lie, at least 4 to 6 iced coffees a day. Like I was making them at home because I couldn't afford it. And I was like barely showering. Like I have PCOS, and I just like wasn't taking care of myself, my mind, my body, nothing. And I told myself like I just need to do something different. Like it doesn't have to be all at once. I just have to do something different. And the first thing for me was the commitment to waking up every day at 5 and going for a walk. And like the walk expanded as time went on, and really it expanded when Beyonce dropped the Renaissance album front to back. Exactly, period. Front to back. I listened to Renaissance, no skips, no nothing. And when I was on my walks, it was like an hour to listen to that album. I started walking like a mile plus with my dog, and I was like hanging out, and I was journaling, and I was doing tarot spreads for myself every day, and I really was pouring into myself. By the time 8 o'clock hit, I've already done everything I needed to do for me. You know what I mean? And then my perspective totally shifted, right? Sorry, it was in the upright. My perspective shifted. I changed my mindset. I changed my goals. I changed my dreams. But the real thing was me committing to myself. And, I feel like being a part of this group, being a part of this journey, we're like, yeah, we are committing to ourselves. We are doing these things. But now we're at a different level, right? Like we were talking about this. We're coming up on our 1 year, people. So like, what is this new level? What can we do to upgrade ourselves within this level? Because for me, I'm like, okay, well, I ain't waking up at 5 a.m. I got a 2-year-old. I'm not crazy. Like, I can't function waking up at 5 a.m. But if I am waking up at like 6:30, 6:45, am I pushing snooze? Am I hopping straight on TikTok? Am I doing these things that I know aren't fulfilling me? And how can I change that? How can I restructure that? How can I really get to a new place in a space that I want to be? This up level for you is going to require you to just start pouring into yourself, but in a different way. Nine of Swords. A lot of despair, right? A lot of hurt, a lot of fear and anxiety. The fear and anxiety that you have, right? Because you see, she's like crying in bed, she's like hurting. That's an old version of you, okay? A version of you that still exists. But how are you going to heal that version of yourself? How are you going to release the fear, release the anxiety of that version? Some of you, it's teenage self. Some of you, it's childhood self. Some of you, it's even like the 20-something version of yourself, maybe only a year or two ago. What is different? How can I heal that part of myself so that I can get closer to the part of myself that I truly know that I'm meant to be? But how can we do so in a way that is benefiting our up level? And I know we have been talking a lot about group of like doing different activities for ourselves. And I did a reading for David the last week for his birthday. And he, in the reading, there was this moment of like talking about pottery and like how he should be taking a pottery class, and he was giving me notes back, and he was like, Brie, I literally was looking at this pottery like list as I'm listening to this and so on and so forth. Like that was a confirmation for me, and I'm like, yes, right, like I'm T. But in the same sense, and this is me talking for myself, I'm like, okay, all these other people in my group are like doing stuff for themselves. Like, what am I doing for myself? And my random like pedicure with Shelby, that was great. I loved that. And like, it definitely filled up my cup, but it doesn't fill up my cup in the same way that it used to. And like, I'm trying to navigate, like, what is that? Like, I want to take pottery classes, and I want to do yoga, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. But I just have always felt so limited with myself, of my money, my funds, my time. But it's like, just how I was talking on Friday with like the full moon in Scorpio, of like that energy of like, okay, but do you really have time? Like, you do actually have time. Like, it might not look like it because you're not dedicating yourself to the time, but you can do this. Five of Pentacles, right? This is that energy of the hardship and the pain and struggling. And I think we're all at this point of like, I'm not trying to struggle no more. Like, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, like, I'm not trying to struggle. But that doesn't mean that like it just magically goes away, right? Like, struggle, trauma, pain, hurt, those are all feelings and things that happen that don't just magically disappear. Five of Cups fell out in the reverse. It's time to start accepting it, right? Accept where you're at. Find the peace, find the positive, start moving forward. Y'all know my story. There's a bunch of shit that has been going on in my life. But at this point now, I'm past it. Past it in the sense of like, I'm in a different space. I'm living with my aunt and uncle now. I have access to their vehicles as well as mine. My money isn't 100% as tight as what it was. I have the time and opportunity to work on my business and work on myself. These are great perspective shifts for me. You know, like, what are things for you that you're like, okay, it's not ideal, but it's working. I can make something work. It's not right on every single aspect, but it's better than what it was before. And that's really where Spirit's like trying to get you, of like, accept these things so that you can move on and you can see things in such a different way. Oh. All right. Sorry, I have 3 cards. 8 of Cups came out first. This is about your path, okay? You see the path? You see how she's not even looking at these 8 cups, but do you see how these are all set up? This is for you to make room for more cups. And you know how I was talking about the like cups and the pictures in the beginning? This is really reminding me of that. See how there's this lake, this flow, this endless flow and stream, but there's still mountains. in the back and she's on this trek, she's on this journey. It's time to fill up these cups, because there is an endless a supply to fill up the cups, right? And it comes from you. The more that you pour into yourself, the more that you believe in yourself, the more that you trust your intuition, the more that you start doing the things that you're telling yourself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to commit to myself, I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to commit to that, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and you actually do it, that's when your intuition becomes stronger. That's when your self-belief becomes more solid. That's when validation from others don't fucking matter. And now, what's the level of belief here? Can you believe it enough that you can leave all of this behind and send yourself on the journey for more, to really push yourself back? Because again, it's time to find that balance, right? 2 of Pentacles. I mean, she's balancing this stuff on a skateboard, right? This ain't easy. That's what Spirit's trying to tell you. This ain't easy. It's not as easy as like, oh, it's Monday morning and I'm finally balanced. Like, that's not how this works. And it's coming to this point now where I think you and I are both on that same page of like, okay, what's some real shit that I can change? What can I really do to balance? How can I truly believe and trust myself? And I know I've talked about believing a long time ago, and belief is not just faking it till you make it, till you finally believe it. It's actually fully trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting your instincts, trusting that the universe has forged this path for you. And no matter how windy the mountains are, you're still following your path. You're still figuring it out. You're going to find the balance, even throughout the chaos. But you have to hold yourself. You have to, King of Swords in reverse. You have to find solid foundational growth for yourself so that you don't fall into this feeling of ruthlessness, this irrational fear of being seen or being heard or doing too much or doing too little or whatever it is, to find yourself not here, but here. King of Swords represents this type of stability. Swords is mental clarity, right? It's an air sign. And there's discipline, there's seriousness, but there's also integrity and trust. It's solid, right? Any of the king, queens, any of those suits, they're always sitting on a throne for a reason, because they're at that capacity, they're at that level. And babe, you're at that level, okay? You're your own king, queen, knight, whatever you want to call yourself. For me, I think my best representation of when I'm feeling the best is Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is not just the divine feminine energy, but it also has that like divine masculine energy, right? That real balance throughout that. And that's what I want. I want to sit on my throne and feel like a badass on either end of the spectrum, but I also am trying to like have that creativity, have that wanderlust, like having a different form of life than what I've had before, that has been way more masculine, way more structured, way more rigid. And I do need that, but I want to have fun too. Let me see if there's anything else in this deck. Yes, 9 of Pentacles in reverse. Being guarded. Living beyond your means, and material instability. The main things that are coming out here is being guarded and living beyond your means. So being guarded, this is something that has put me in a space and a place for myself where like I have been guarding my heart and guarding myself because it's kind of like my survival mode. But it's time to let the wall down, right? It's time to drop the armor. It's time to feel better. And it also, this energy of like pentacles, right? Like pentacles, when it's in the upright or not, is grounding. We're in Taurus season. That's an earth sign. It's time to root, right? It's time to ground ourselves. Confirmation. But living beyond our means. I have this bad habit that like when I save money in like my savings, that like I'll easily transfer it over to like checking or whatever if like I know I need or want to do something. And funny enough, like Donald gets paid every week. So luckily, like I have to make whatever that paycheck is last for about 6 days before he gets his next check. And it's such a different perspective of him getting paid like that and like paying bills, because I'm looking at things at 1 week at a time instead of like monthly as this like whole, in the sense of like, oh, we only get paid once a month or something like that, you know? But living beyond our means, this does not mean to not take care of ourselves. Living beyond our means in the sense of like, we're doing too much when we know that we have bigger dreams, bigger goals to set ourselves up for, that will require a different amount of money. Like, how is Spirit going to put 10 grand in your bank account if you can't even save $10? You know what I mean? Like, how is your relationship with money and yourself going to affect you? Because right now, anytime that you get a little extra dip of cash, you go a little crazy, you go a little hard. And I'm talking to myself too. And like, you know, I want to buy that silk bonnet for myself. I need new underwear. I need new shoes for summer. I need like new t-shirts. I just got new bras. Like, these are things that I know I need. That's not me living beyond my means. That's me taking care of myself. But like, do I need to buy a shit ton of Black and Mild or extra booze or extra this or extra that? Like, when I already have stuff, or if I already have food at home and things like that? Probably not. But like, that doesn't stop me from more. You know what I mean? I think we're wrapping up this message here. I've been shuffling. Oh, okay. I think this is our last card. Let me finish the shuffle. So the card that we have is Three of Cups, which is friendship, community, gatherings, group events, celebrations. This is why it feels like this is our ending. This is where Spirit wants you. Spirit wants us all to collaborate and join and be together. That's why we're here, right? That's why we're in the group. I was led to create this space. You guys were led to join the space. You know what I mean? Like, and here we are. But how can we take all of this message and hone it in and bring it in together so that we can celebrate not only ourselves but one another, so that we can expand and grow and change, but also be there for one another? This month is going to do a lot, right? I was talking about the full moon on Friday in Scorpio and all of that energy. And then we have our blue moon, which is our second full moon and of the month. And that will be in Sagittarius. And then we have our new moon that will be in Taurus. So there's a lot of energy, right? We have water, we have fire, we have earth going throughout this whole month. Normally we don't deal with as many, levels and layers here. But this is very significant. It's time to lock in. It's time to get real. It's time to get serious. And if you're having trouble, if you're lost, if you're trying to find your way, let's talk more. Let's do more stuff. If you want an individual reading, you know where to reach me. If you want more prompts or individual help or something like that, let's talk. For real. Let's figure some stuff out. And I think that for all of us, we have to be really honest with where we're at and where we want to be and how we can get there, right? 1, 2, 3. But the most important part of this reading is taking care of ourselves so that we can get to the other side. So I'm right in the seat with you. You're in the driver's seat. I'm in the passenger seat, and vice versa. I'm in the driver. Y'all are in the passenger seat for me. So let's do this. Okay? I'll be the DJ. We'll get it together. And we'll do this journey together. Love y'all.